morning. Welcome to the Deseret News National Edition. I'm Dave McCann, the co-founder of the Mama Dragons group of Mormon mothers with gay children, reported last week that she knew of 26 suicides among LGBT Mormons in Utah since early November. Though her numbers were unverified and have since been discredited, she received media attention and this response from the LDS Church. Those who are attracted to others of the same sex face particular challenges and pressures in this regard, both inside and outside the church. We mourn with their families and friends when they feel life no longer offers hope. Regardless of the exact numbers, LGBT youth in Utah are at a higher risk for suicide and bullying. Joining me this morning to discuss this and suicide prevention efforts are Dr. Greg Hudnall with Hope4Utah and Kim Meyers, a state suicide prevention coordinator. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We've taken this topic on a number of occasions. It's not going away, and it seems to be more and more in the real world that we're dealing with. Greg, where do we stand on this?
You know, the challenge, and I think you mentioned it earlier in the introduction, that a lot of times the same attraction individuals get bullied the most. As a high school principal, it used to frustrate me because they were the kids that were picked on the most. They were the students that were bullied, and because of that and many other things, they do become a high risk for depression and other things that could lead to suicide. 26 students have not committed suicide since November in the state of Utah that are LGBT, right? Those numbers have been discredited, but when the church put out a statement, it kind of gave them a little bit of credit where people think, well, that must be true. Is that a damaging thing? People see that big of a number?
Well, I think it can go both ways. I mean, it's important to raise awareness and bring sort of visibility to the topic so that we can get the message of prevention and hope and resources out there. So in some ways, when we talk about the numbers, that's the benefit. What really can be the downside of it is that when you say more people are taking their life by suicide because they identify as LGBT, and you're someone who's at home suffering, and you hear that and you sort of think, oh, maybe that's something, you know, that becomes more of an option for me. And so we want to really be careful on how we use data, because it can be really powerful to move us in the right direction. It can also increase risk for those who are suffering and are really identifying with the news stories that way. So that's the challenge we have with the data. And yeah, it's not verified. That's not in line with the medical examiner data.
How does the state track suicides?
So we have actually a really good system in place. We have one of the best systems in the country, frankly, and we have a centralized medical examiner office, so they track death data, and that's all done through a centralized office, which is different than like a coroner system. And then we also participate in the National Violent Death Reporting System, which helps us track a lot of information about things that lead up and maybe are contributing to a suicide.
Greg, it's a double-edged sword. You talk about suicide, and the research shows suicide numbers go up. You don't talk about suicide, and the problem never gets the attention that it needs.
It is a challenge. I was thinking as you were talking with Kim of the concept of the death of Robin Williams. Right. You know, a lot of sensationalism, a lot of public attention, and according to NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, suicides actually went up a little bit from that. The trade-off, those seeking help, increased even more. And so what we have found is talking about suicide in a way that we discuss what are the resources, what are the things available to help that individual and the family member actually can help prevent more suicides.
If you're the parent of a gay child, what are you looking for to prevent something like that, to preventing the end result? What are you looking for today?
You know, for us, we try to train parents, any parent that has any child that may pull away from peers, may be bullied, may be someone that becomes isolated, someone that feels helpless or hopeless, someone that starts to withdraw from a little bit of everybody. Klott, one of the premier researchers, talks about the isolation, where they feel that there's no one that they can connect with and no one that they feel is helping them or supporting them. And so anytime a parent has any child like that, we want them to look at what resources are available in the community and actually try to get help for that individual.
Kim, speaking of those resources, what are a couple of things that folks can turn to?
Well, one thing everyone should know is that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they can call the National Lifeline, 1-800-273-TALK. That's routed through local folks here who know about local resources and can make those connections. For young people, we have the Safe Utah app, which is new, up and running, is an app people can use and go through sort of how we communicate more now, and especially how young people communicate. So use the Safe Utah app. Also, you know, there's for folks who are LGBTQ, there's a guild of therapists who identify as, you know, affirmative for those folks who they can seek help for. You know, families, there's the Family Acceptance Project, which has great information on how families can work with and interact with their young people to see better outcomes and to better support them.
I know we've been talking about LGBT students because of that report, but let's just bunch everybody in here, and this seems to affect moms, dads, kids, and even kids in elementary school, as we've done research with you. Where do we sit as a state? Is it getting better or is it getting worse?
You know, overall, and I'll let Kim speak because she represents the state, but overall, I think we're doing better. We're doing better. I was talking with a colleague the other day, and he laughed because we've been doing this for 20 years. Right. And when we first started, there was nothing out there to help us. But now we really have not only state agencies, but we have local agencies, we have local mental health agencies, health departments, and even private entities that have come together and have really taken the attitude that it takes the entire community to save someone.
Well, breaking the silence of suicide has been our theme here at KSL, and you have to break it. You have to talk about it, right?
Right, and I mean, I think KSL is another example of a great partner in breaking the silence of it and in seeing the progress. In 2014, we saw an overall reduction in the number of suicides and an overall reduction in the rate of suicides in our state, which has been growing for about a decade or so before that. So we are making real progress, and that's showing up in real life safe. So there is a lot of good stuff going on, and we have a long way to go, but we're definitely, you know, everyone's sort of playing their part and working together. So it's a good movement.
It's a tough topic. We salute the two of you and all those who work with you. We're trying to make it better. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. You can read